some guy, I don't want to get into this, we're not getting into this. So some guy, some fucking degenerate posts a Sam Harris video on my fucking subreddit talking about how, I actually watched this whole video. It's only 5 minutes long. There's actually nothing stated in the video. Nothing of value is stated in this video. But it's whatever. So then the guy makes a post on the subreddit and he's saying, well, the problem isn't the way that people act. The problem is you can't deny that there are fundamental problems with different religions. And so the funny thing is, he goes on to say, so Islam has fundamental problems with violence the same way that Catholics have. So let me read this excerpt from his post. However, there's a different kind of ideological problem in accompanying criticism, problems that are fundamental to the ideology itself. People have a problem with criticizing only Islam, so let's talk about Catholicism. The Catholic Church has a very real problem with birth control and homosexuality. This isn't something that can be waved away, saying, oh, it's just a problem with the church. Plenty of Catholics are cool with it, hashtag not all Catholics. You can't just wave it away because this is a fundamental theological problem with Catholicism. Catholics believe that the purpose of sex is for procreation. Therefore, any form of birth control and any form of sex that inhibits procreation holds negative value. This is a theological problem that both the church and Catholics at large must struggle with. It is a problem that will take a lot of time and hard work to move past. I love this comment because it shows me that the person writing this has never, ever, 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 ever been involved with any religion whatsoever. Because if you Google, if you search for like the numbers on Catholics that use birth control, it's like fucking like, I think it's like 98% of Catholic women over the past 12 months have used birth control. Like, there's like some numbers. Hold on, I gotta find this. I had a link before. Like 80% plus think that it's like morally acceptable. According to a 2014 poll by Univision, 79% of Catholics around the world support the use of other forms of contraception. Previous polling has reported that 82% of American Catholics say birth control is morally acceptable. Were you raised a cafeteria Catholic? I don't know what that means. But yeah, I don't know. I thought that was a funny example since, for memes. All right, we're playing Overwatch. That's all we're doing right now. It's almost like we're taking a stereotype and applying it to all participants in that particular group. It's not a stereotype. Okay, I'll explain this one more time. I'm not going to dig into this a lot because it's, okay, I'm really, really lucky in that I was raised in a very Catholic family. Very, very Catholic family. Holy fuck, my mom is so fucking Catholic. So we listened to the things the Pope said, and I went to a Catholic grade school for eight years of my life. I went to a Catholic high school. I was baptized. I was confirmed. I've learned about all 7 sacraments. I even know the cheat code to partake in all 7 sacraments. Like, I know a fair bit about Catholic shit, okay? But so I have a little bit of background, thankfully. God bless, right? Thankfully, because I don't know if I would have understood these concepts intuitively had I not been raised Catholic, right? So the problem is you have all of these abstractions. You have all of these abstractions when it comes to how does religion manifest itself into everyday life, okay? It's kind of like playing the telephone game, okay? So here you have a holy text, okay? We'll call this the Bible, I guess, for Catholics, right? So you have a holy text, okay? Now, this holy text can be interpreted differently by different, how big do you want to go? I guess, like, the Bible isn't even unique to Catholicism, right? This can be interpreted differently by different... I don't know much about non-Catholics, I'm not going to lie, right? But I'm pretty sure these people all, like, look at the Bible as their shit, right? Protestants, Lutherans... These guys all use the Bible and shit, right? Protestants and Lutherans, non-Catholics do, right? I know the Catholics are the only ones that use the Catechism, but I'm pretty sure these guys all do that bullshit. Who else get their shit from the Bible? Do, like, Seventh-day Adventists or whatever? I know that there are a lot of different books that some people use and some people don't. I know that there were a lot of different gospels involving the life of Jesus, and not all of them made the Bible. There were like 60 plus, I think, gospels, but Baptists, whatever. So these guys might not use the exact same version of the Bible. I am not sure. Hold on, let me look up. Mormon Bible. Let me check. How is the Book of Mormon different from the Bible? The Book of Mormon is another witness to Jesus Christ. Really? Jesus, fuck, these people are fucking crazy, dude. Every religious person is fucking crazy. No offense to religious people. I don't think the Book of Mormon is the same thing as the Bible. But I don't know fuck all about the Book of Mormon, so I can't really say. I don't know. I'm going to erase Mormons from here. But a lot of people use similar, fuck off Mormon fuckers. A lot of people use similar books to get their holy shit from, right? And then, so we've already got like one abstraction of Jesus Christ, okay? So we've already got one abstraction here, right? So we're already one level removed from whatever the original text was. These people all have their own interpretations of the events. What do the events actually mean? How fundamentalist are we going to be? How loose with our interpretations are we going to be? How are we going to apply these to everyday life? And then from there, okay, and I'm sure that you can get even more from this, right? You have different geographical locations that will determine how people read things, right? Because laws are different in different places, and a lot of times religious shit can inform law can inform religious shit. I guess as an example, like the Catholic Church has become a lot more open to gay people in some parts of the in some parts of the United States, but not in all parts of the United States, and not in all parts of the world too. So right, you've got like geography that will influence your religion further after that, and then from there you've got like your regional churches, like organizations and shit that will be like these are, this is the Church of Saint whatever, and these guys run these churches or whatever. And then you've got your individual church, right? Your individual congregation. And then from there, you even have individual priests that might have a slightly different take on what the stories in the Bible mean, right? And anybody that's gone to Mass, right, which is the Catholic form of going to church, will know that you might have a priest that's a little bit more of a hard ass than another priest. You might have a priest that gets a little more of a friendly interpretation of a passage than another priest, right? Every single person has different different ways of presenting you these holy texts and divining messages out of them that help you live your life or whatever in a way that is religiously acceptable to you, theologically acceptable, right? Anyway, I'm sorry. The reason why I bring all this up is because, like, we're playing the telephone game here, right? Look at all these abstractions, right? So we've got a holy book, we've got different sects that all follow the holy book. Sect? Would you say that Catholicism is a sect of Christianity? I don't think sect is the right word there. A branch of
the dankest dungeon.
Oh, the diocese? Oh, yeah.
Cafeteria Catholicism just means you pick and choose what to follow on what the church stands, like being pro-life but not using condoms, eating meat on Friday, etc. Basically every religion, just a term that's exclusive to Catholicism.
Yeah, sure.
Wow.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are like that though. But so anyway, so the problem when people start talking about Islam or any religion really is, so we've got a holy book, okay? We've got these different sections of religion. You've got your geographical influences, you've got your particular diocese you belong to, you've got your fucking regional laws, you've got the individual church you belong to, you've got even your unique congregation, the time you go, and then the individual priest you get, right? All of these things are going to influence the message that you get at the end of the day. And then how you live your life is even another step past that, how people take those things. How does your community, right? Because this is not a one-way process, right? You understand that priests can have an influence in your churches can have an influence on your diocese, and it can go all the way back up, right? Well, we've seen even the Pope now has been influenced by some of the pushback coming all the way from communities back up, right? Where your community can influence, right? So this is a two-way feedback, right? Where you can have an influence on the church has an influence on you, et cetera, right? So the problem is when you have all this shit, religion is a very, very, very complicated thing. Religion is very, very complicated, okay? All this shit is going on, and religion is a very much a living, breathing part of people's communities, In some communities, it plays a bigger role than others, right? The problem is when you get people like Sam Harris who want to talk about fundamental problems with Islam, they're talking about this book, and they're going, this is a problem, and it means that everything here is all fucked, right? And it's like, dog, like, what you're saying might or might not be true, but it's so irrelevant. This doesn't even matter. And that sounds kind of wrong to say, and it's not really true, but kind of. Like, the actual words written in the Bible are not, I don't want to say they don't matter because it's not true, but you're getting such a, I don't want to say it's been diluted, but the message has been refined and interpreted so many times that you're getting something that's very, very, very unique to you by the time you get that final message. You could be listening to, if you were to go to church somewhere in the deep south, you would go to a Catholic mass at 9 a.m. or 7 a.m. on a Sunday morning with a bunch of old people in your congregation. You would go to listen to that priest deliver a message. It's probably going to be a lot more intense, even if you're all Catholics, than I could use my own city, than going to maybe a 5 p.m. mass on a Saturday or Sunday in Omaha, Nebraska at our church with a younger congregation, right? These things will all influence, and that's just among Catholics. Then you would get dramatically different versions of the same interpretation of the same holy text, right? So saying the holy book itself is fucked up doesn't matter because it's not the final product. Kind of. I'm just saying that, like, there's so many steps that remove you. Like, nobody who's religious, I don't want to say nobody, there are people, but very few people who are religious go to the store, buy a religious book, and then read it from cover to cover, and then they live their life based on what's in the book. Like, nobody really does that. Like, that's not how religion works in practice. Yeah, there are some people that are fundamentalists that might do that, but in reality, that's much more likely to be the minority than the majority of people. Right? I'm sorry, that's all I wanted to say. Because every time I listen to the Sam Harris dude, I get like really fucking triggered. I'm not even sure what video he posted. I'm gonna have to go listen again. I just remember this video was like, it was 5 minutes of nothing. He didn't even really say anything. He had like there was like a funny meme in it, I guess. We'll listen to this. It's a 5-minute video. Hold on, I'll set my game mode to not playing. We'll listen to this real fast.
I'm concerned about. I want to talk about Islam for a moment because I think we are wise to be concerned about it. As you know, I'm concerned about religion in general, but I think we're wise to differentiate specific religious beliefs. And we are, I think, quite encumbered by political correctness and just frank confusion on this front. One problem is that we have this one word, religion, which names this truly diverse spectrum of fascinations and ideological commitments. And religion is a nearly useless term. It's a term like sports. Now, there are sports like badminton, and there are sports like Thai boxing. Okay, and they have almost nothing in common apart from breathing. Now, there are sports that are just synonymous with the risk of physical injury or even death. I mean, there's sports that are just synonymous with violence. Now, if you get injured playing badminton, you're just embarrassed. We're facing a problem at this moment. There is, I'm happy to say, a religion of peace in this world, but it's not Islam. Okay. To call Islam a religion of peace, as we hear ceaselessly reiterated, is completely delusional. Now, Jainism actually is a religion of peace. Jainism is the core principle of Jainism is nonviolence. Gandhi got his nonviolence from the Jains. The crazier you get as a Jain, the less we have to worry about you. It is.
I disagree with labeling Islam as a religion of peace. I think that's really stupid. I don't know the people that do that. I think it's dumb. I probably wouldn't label any religion as a religion of peace. I think that's a really stupid thing to do. But
this is, Jain extremists are actually they are paralyzed by their pacifism. Jain extremists just they can't take their eyes off the ground when they walk lest they step on an ant. They filter every sip of water through cheesecloth lest they swallow and thereby kill a bug. I mean, needless to say, they're vegetarian. So the problem, notice, the problem is not religious extremism, okay? Because extremism is not a problem if your core beliefs are truly
Why is it stupid to label Catholics a religion of peace? Because Catholics have been involved in some of the bloodiest, most violent shit in fucking human history. What do you mean? Come on, dog.
Violent. The problem isn't fundamentalism, which we often hear this said. These are euphemisms. I mean, the only problem with Islamic fundamentalism are the fundamentals of Islam. Now we have Mullah Omar and Osama bin Laden and Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. These guys agree about the nature of reality and how to live within it. And the problem is they are giving a very plausible version of the faith. Osama bin Laden
I don't
is
know
not
anything
the
about
Reverend
Jehovah's
Jim Jones
Witnesses.
of the Muslim world. It would be wonderful if he were, but the problem is he is giving a truly straightforward version of Islam, and you really have to be an acrobat to figure out how he's distorting the faith. Now, if these guys were Jains, or Buddhists, or Amish, or Quakers, it would be patently obvious how they were distorting their religion. I mean, in fact, their behavior would be unintelligible. Or Quakers, or Jains, or Buddhists.
I don't like these examples that he gives here because there have been like violent people who belong to these religions. Like I know there's been Buddhist violence that has occurred around the world. So I find it really strange that he gives these kinds of examples.
Or Amish, or Quakers. It would be patently obvious how they were distorting their religion. I mean, in fact, their behavior would be unintelligible. Okay? It is not obvious by the light of Islam, and this is just a fact we have to speak honestly about. And no one should be speaking more honestly about this and more volubly about this than moderate Muslims. Moderate Muslims have to find some way to grapple with this fact. But to say that Osama bin Laden is David Koresh is just a lie, and it's...
So, like, I would be curious. I wish I could talk to this guy. If you were to talk to Sam Harris, what would he think about the guy that murdered the abortion doctor because abortion is outlawed by the Catholic Church and abortion is the murder of children? Because I think that I feel like that's a fair interpretation of... I feel like that's a fair interpretation of the Bible, right? That if you think that abortion is the murder of innocent children, then killing an abortion doctor is in effect saving the lives of those children, right? You're killing a murderer essentially, right? And preventing him from murdering more people. Wouldn't that be? Don't you think that something like that would be a fair interpretation of Catholic scripture, Christian scripture? I guess I don't know where all Christians stand on. The biggest problem that I have with all the Muslim shit is that, like, when you go through, like, history, like, you've got, like, violent religion, and then they stop being violent, and then this religion will be violent, and then stop being violent, and then, you know, like, you get another religion that's violent, blah, 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 and then this religion is violent, blah, blah, and then this religion is violent. And then, like, right now, we happen to be here in the Middle East where everything is fucked, completely fucked. And so now we're like, okay, well now right here, like this is a problem. Like this religion is clearly fucked. And it's like, okay, well what about the Middle Ages of the Catholic Church or the Great Schism and selling grievances and shit to people so they can buy their fucking way to heaven? And you know, like what about all the fucking crazy Jewish shit in the past? Or what about all the fucking crazy, I don't know, man, I fucking hate religion, dude. I hate all religion. That's why I'm fucking atheist, man. These people are fucking crazy. But I don't know, dude. If you look up like the extremist Muslim countries and you look at a map of it like geographically, it's pretty crazy. Somebody linked me a map once trying to prove, saying that like, oh well, look, you think this isn't a religious problem, but like all of the crazy fucking Islamic countries were in like fucking Central Africa, the Middle East, and I think a little bit of like Southeast Asia. I don't know, dude. But Destiny, Islamic people have been at war since its creation. First of all, I don't even think that's true. But secondly, are you saying that Christians haven't been at war since their creation? The entire history of Europe is just constant conflict. Like, what does that even mean? Like, part of the reason for coming to the United States and killing all the fucking Indians and shit was spreading religion. Remember all the religious, the converters that we would send to people to go and convert them to Christianity or Catholicism or the Church of England or whatever, like all that shit, like... The problem is that Christianity has evolved a lot since the Middle Ages, which Islam obviously has not. They're doing shit that Christians were doing 1,000 years ago today. First of all, I don't think you necessarily have to go back 1,000 years. And secondly... Oh, we are getting into this now. I said I wasn't going to get into this. Watch this. I think you'll end up seeing... If this is an hour video, I'm banning you. Okay. Do I want to watch this? I feel like we're getting into this now.
Took the top 5 things that I think people attack you on, in my opinion, misquote you on. And I thought maybe we could take 5 minutes for each one, 5 or 6 minutes for each one. And that way...
But the Catholics went through a reform That's how the New Testament was formed. Isn't it fair? What? The New Testament was, that was like that fucking 33 BC or whenever the fuck Jesus died. What? Catholics were violent way after the New Testament.
Each time someone says, well, Sam Harris wants to nuke the Middle East, or Sam Harris wants to racially profile Muslims, or whatever it is, you or I or anyone that's clear-minded can just send a link and say, here it is in 5 minutes. You don't have to read a book. You don't have to watch a 3-hour interview.
Also, keep in mind these Christian countries got to fight and take over and claim land then that they decided was their land, and they got to make their borders, and they got to make their governments, and they had to have got their sovereignty respected. It wasn't like, what was it, the fucking Ottoman Empire? When did the United Kingdom or Great Britain or whatever go in and like slice up all the lands of the Middle East? Like, here's your countries, fucking live there and be happy with it. Like, I feel like the way that the Christian nations were allowed to settle is so much different than the way that the Muslim or Islamic nations were just kind of sliced up and then given to people. Like,
here it is. I think the number one thing that people say about you is that when you say Islam, you mean all Muslims.
Right, right.
So take it away.
Yeah, so the claim is that I generalize about Muslims, and this is incredibly ironic because half the time in that Bill Maher clip was spent where I was talking about statistics and poll results and percentages, and a certain percentage is jihadist.
Midas, right? Nothing new. Certainly not newer than religion. I totally agree with you, but I wish that people would acknowledge that. Like, why is Christianity in a peaceful place today? Well, because the Christian nations conquered and murdered and killed everybody in order to establish themselves in the way that they did. Look at how the United States came into being, right? We fucking moved across and we captured this whole fucking continent. And then we did a whole bunch of crazy fucking deals and bought and moved people out and murdered people and did a bunch of crazy fucking shit. And now that we fucking killed everybody else and moved everybody the fuck out, and then now we have our country, it's like, okay, now that these fucking people are gone, whew, now we're a peaceful Christian nation. It's like, damn, dog. Like, I mean, yeah, you're peaceful now, but what did it take to get there? Like, holy shit, you know? Like, damn, just chill. Just chill, like when you, like, but I don't even care. I'm not saying that we need to give the land back to all the Native Americans and shit, but I'm just saying, like, damn, like, now, after you've murdered every single person on the continent, moved them and shoved them off into these little fucking concentration camps of fucking alcohol and casinos and shit, right? And you've bought shit and you've moved Mexicans out and you've imported fucking black people to be slavery shit for you until the fucking 1960s or whatever, the Civil Rights Act in 1964 or whatever, right? When you've had all this fucking shit, and you've done all of that. How many years? We still have people alive today that were fucking alive during World War II. Fuck, forget the Civil Rights Act, that were even earlier than that, right? And then once you've done all that shit, and then you finally established your peaceful Christian country, right? You finally done that. Now you're gonna go to the rest of the world like, yo, now why are you guys in the Middle East over there? Why are you guys so violent? Are you guys having a religious problem over there? Are you guys maybe a little bit fucked up? What the fuck is wrong with you guys? Why can't you just be peaceful like us? Like, doesn't that like reek of hypocrisy just a little bit? Like, don't you think that like, okay, well, hold on, like maybe, like I'm willing to bet that if you were to let a country, if you were to let a group of people like ISIS go on their fucking rampage and murder and kill everybody that disagreed with them, right, and then establish their own little fucking caliphate or whatever, that they would probably be pretty peaceful after that, right? But I mean, like, no, obviously that's an insane idea, right? Nobody would say that, right? Well, fuck, we're not gonna let them go and murder everybody they don't agree with, right? But that was kind of the modus operandi or whatever. That was like the standard procedure of operations, like in the past, right? Where you'd fucking go into a country, take it the fuck over, kill everybody you disagree with. Like, that's how we fucking did everything, right? In fucking Europe and shit, the Middle Ages and shit. Yeah, I don't know, dude. There's so much fucked up shit in everybody's history that it's like the what did Jesus say? Let he who hath not sinned cast the first stone against the woman that was an adulteress. It's just crazy that people will act so indignant and will be so judgmental of another religion when their religion was allowed to do so much fucked up shit in order to get into the position that it is now, right? Doesn't that...
I don't want to get into this. Not get into this.
And then there's a wider circle of Islamists, and then there's a wider circle of conservatives. And so I never generalize about the Muslim world. And insofar as we have good data on the numbers of people who subscribe to various beliefs, then I'm always looking at those data. And so... and everything I say about the problem of Islam and Islamism.
Okay, I don't know why I can fucking. That doesn't change that something needs to be done about it. No, I 100% agree with you. Something needs to be done, okay? But this is why the problem analysis is so important. You have to figure out what is causing these problems, okay? I don't give a fuck about hurting people's feelings, or if Muslim people don't like me, or if Christians don't like me, or whatever, or no one, I don't give a fuck who likes me, right? But like, I'm not worried about hurting people's feelings or being a social justice warrior or whatever, right? What I want is, I want a good analysis of a problem that delivers us a solution that will present the problem from happening in the future, right? That would be the dream, right? So we have a problem right now with Islam. We really do, right? There is an Islamic problem that exists around the world today, right? You would have to be an idiot to say that there's not, right? But you have to dig a little bit deeper into the cause and effect. Like, well, what is the problem with Islam? Like, do we have all these Islamic people in Europe that are causing terrorist attacks all over the world that are causing? Well, not really. Do we have all these Islamic people in the United States? I mean, kind of, sort of recently, but that's not really where it originated from. Do we have all these Islamic people in South America? Well, not really. Do we have all these Islamic people in South Africa, in fucking Asia? Like, well, not really. Like, all of these problems, all of this fucked up shit is coming from, a lot of it is coming from the Middle East. A fuck ton of it is coming from the Middle East, right? Like, this is where the instigation of so much of this shit is. Yes, I know that there have been first generation Muslims or Islamic people or whatever that have caused terrorist attacks in other countries, but a lot of that is being spurred on by people like ISIS who do their online recruiting, right? So when all of these problems are coming from this certain part of the world, right, I think that it behooves you to not question, okay, well, maybe there might be something else going on here aside from the fact that they're a religion, right? There might be something different that maybe you have to look into that would give you a better answer than, well, we just need to make all the Muslim people change their religion, right? Because firstly, that's not even a very realistic solution. But secondly, I don't really even think that would do much. I think that when you put people in a fucked up environment, people will more often than not become a product of that environment, right? I think that that's a pretty safe assumption to make. I think most psychologists have done experimentation that more or less kind of delivers on that statement. And I think that, it's pretty self-evident, right, for most people. If you're a product of a fucked up environment, more often than not, you will grow up to be a fucked up person, right? So, when you look at all of the stupid, fucked up shit that is going on in the Middle East, when you look at all the little proxy wars, when you look at all of the stupid shit that's going on there since the end of World War I, like, I don't know, I guess it irritates me when you see, because I view it partially as some people are really xenophobic, and I do think that there's a lot of racism tied into it. I think that because they're brown people, I think it makes them a lot easier to hate. I think that helps, but I think a lot of it is also a shirking of responsibility, which really bothers me. I do not like it when countries shirk responsibility. If you're going to walk into a region and you're going to fuck up the region, you're going to fuck up the politics, you're going to fuck up the economy, you're going to fuck up the culture. If you're going to do all of that shit and then that region destabilizes to the point where it's going to produce problems for the entire world, I think that you have to take responsibility for those problems. You can't just say, well, fuck, man, these people are fucking Islamic, man. What the fuck are we gonna do? Like, I don't know, dude, these religious motherfuckers are crazy. Like, what are we gonna do, man? Like, well, you can't, can you really say that? Is that really a fair assessment of what's gone on here? All right, weren't the whole Saudi Arabia is like one of the worst places in the world, and that Saud family was propped up by the British? Is that where who were installed by? The original Saud family? Like, when you have all this fucking stupid shit that's happening due to Western influence, it's not fair at the end of the day to point a finger at them and go like, hey, you guys are fucked up, so you need to stop it. Like, okay, well, man, I don't know, dude. Destiny, of course, this is true. The fact is that Americans dragged some of the EU countries into a fucked up conflict in the Middle East, and now Europe is paying for it with the migration crisis. What happened to America having to do with their actions? Yeah, but like, I agree, but like, look at how fucked up that is. Like, and it's almost comical. It's almost comical how fucked up it is, if it wasn't so sad, right? So what's going on in Syria right now? Syria is a country that is swallowed in conflict because rebels who are rebelling against Assad, who are fighting alongside Kurdish people, who are trying to topple Assad, are being funded and trained by the United States of America, right? And then ISIS also exists in Syria because they have been allowed to establish themselves due to the destabilization of Syria and due to the destabilization of Iraq, because we dismantled their government when we went in, right? And then we left. So these things are chiefly American-caused problems, right? But the result of that, the massive flight of people from Syria, right? This refugee problem is all being blamed on Islamic people and being blamed on the refugees, right? It's funny because when you look at Europe and you look at the United Kingdom, with the Brexit and everything, everybody's saying like, fuck these refugees. Look at all these guys coming over and fucking our country up, taking our jobs, and fuck you guys. Like, damn, dog. And like America's just like standing off to the side and we're like, oh shit, dude. Like, damn. Like, yeah, I mean, those refugees, man, they're pretty fucked up. Like, I mean, like, damn, dude, that's fucking crazy. Iraq's was destabilized destiny. Everybody else was hard dick. No, wait, what? Literally America's person. It's just the way that the blame gets shifted around. This guy's view of history is the last 20 years. Go back 50 years, 80 years. What do you disagree with, Photon? Tell me what I'm wrong about. The USA supports democracy unless the USA doesn't like the people. Oh, yeah, of course. This is like a trend for toppling leaders and shit. Oh, fuck. What did I just do? Oh, I think that was an Overwatch meme. I honestly think the Middle East would be in a better spot with Hussein and Assad still in power. And looking at it now, I don't think anybody disagrees with that. Saddam was a fucked up dude, but he ran a stable country, right? ISIS didn't exist when Saddam Hussein was in power, right? And don't all the Taliban fuckers, didn't they mainly exist in like Afghanistan and caves and shit anyway? I don't know as much about them. I'm not gonna lie, but do you believe in any of the petrodollar stuff? I don't know what that means. Destiny, but you are still not saying what should be done. Analyzing the situation better is fine, but that still takes us halfway there. Well, what has to be done is diplomacy, as fucking boring as it sounds. And these are like the answers that nobody wants to hear anymore because everybody, like, we still have a generation of Americans that remember America as the country that marched armies into countries and beat them the fuck up. And that's what everybody wants, right? That's what everybody wants. That's why That's why Trump's message resounds with so many people. And that's why you hear people say these stupid things like, we need to identify the problem as Islamic terror. Like, what does that even mean? Like, do you think that by saying that, now we all of a sudden have a clear enemy that we can go march and take up arms against? Like, but that's what everybody remembers. Like, United States of America, back-to-back World War champions and shit. Even though we didn't even do most of the shit in either of those fucking World Wars, right? But, like, everybody remembers America being able to go to a country, beat them up, and then leave, and then everything is good. But that's not the kind of world that we live in anymore. And people, I guess older people, like, can't accept that reality, that we're not at a point anymore where America's, army or military might can just be sent onto somebody's, shores and fuck them up. It's not, what has to happen is more shit like, I overhype this. Maybe I overhype this a lot, but I really do feel like looking back 10, 20, 30 years from now, I feel like the deal with Iran is going to be seen as one of like the landmark things that hopefully spurs on more deals where we have leaders who are starting to reach out and make agreements with other countries that we've hated historically for a long fucking time. Like, that kind of stuff is what needs to happen. Like, instead of deposing people like Gaddafi or Saddam or whatever, like, we need to, like, hey, like, some of the shit you do is fucked up. Like, we need to start talking. We need to start making arrangements. We need to start making deals, because we can't do this thing where we pretend that we're Great Britain and we're going to go across the world and create new civilizations from scratch. Like, that doesn't work anymore. Unless we were literally about to make Iraq the 51st state. Why were we there for a fucking decade? What business was it of us to dismantle their entire government and to tell every single person who was in that government that they weren't allowed to do government anymore? Like, what? That's all the fucking people that were in the government. Like, there's so much that was fucked up with Iraq that we fucked up. Like, America has to take responsibility for that kind of shit. And we need to work with all the other fucking countries. And we need to get everybody on the same fucking page. And, like, why are we propping up? Why is the United States, why is the CIA propping up the FSA? Why are we propping up people that are continuing to destabilize Syria? Like, why are we putting out stories where Putin is saying that he's fighting terrorists and we're saying that we're working with the world and kind of Russia, and then at the same time we're supporting the fucking CIA doing these things to help the FSA and the Kurdish people fucking fight against Assad and Syria, and then Russia saying that they're going to bomb ISIS, the terrorists, but they're just going down and bombing the people that we're probably like, what is this shit? This is so fucking stupid. It's so fucking stupid. Why are we doing this? Like, right? Like, it's really dumb, and nothing will ever get solved when fucking different people are via proxy like fucking smashing dicks against each other in this region of the world that's already been completely fucking dicked up, right? Like, it's gonna take a leader who actually wants to come onto the world stage and enact some harsh fucking real facts fucking diplomacy. Like, hey, like, we need to cut out with this stupid fucking bullshit. We need to actually figure out how to solve problems in parts of the world. We're not gonna fucking blame Islamic terrorism on it, or blame like fucking Islam, or blame fucking whatever refugees, or blame poor people, whatever. Like, this is some fucked up shit that countries and governments are engaging in, and it has to fucking stop. Like, I feel like that's, but nobody wants, but the problem is the populations in every area don't care about those kinds of solutions. Nobody cares about that kind of shit. We want to say, you know, like, terrorism is a really easy enemy. Like, that's damn, like, fuck terror. And everybody hates terrorists, right? Terrorists are bad guys. So fuck terrorists. Let's just keep going to war against terrorism, whatever the fuck that means, even though the United States engages in a lot of it ourselves. And if we were any other country, we would call it the same. But like, yeah, I don't know. The public is too stupid to deal with shit like this too. Like, I don't know, dude. Diplomacy only goes so far with countries whose leaders / future leaders won't be fucking insane and become more modern in general. Saying diplomacy is the answer is a bit simplistic. But you say that, but who do you consider extreme? We're allies with Saudi Arabia, who's one of the most extremist Islam countries in the fucking world, right? And we made deals with Iran. If you would have asked anybody in the United States a decade ago if we would have been making deals, nuclear deals with Iran, they would have said you were fucking crazy. I guarantee it. So no, I don't agree that diplomacy can't be the answer. Now, I'm not saying it's an easy thing. Obviously, it takes a leader, but we're not. The problem is diplomacy is hard, but we're not even making steps in that direction publicly. From a public point of view, it doesn't seem like we're moving that direction. Instead, we're trying to move towards the war can fix all of our problems direction, you know? I feel like maybe I have a weird understanding of things, but I feel like having countries that have been supported by other countries that are strong and stable, like, makes the world like an infinitely better place in every single regard. I've said this a million times, that like the solution to the illegal immigration problem that the United States faces right now has nothing to do with border security, and no amount of border security will help us. The only thing that will help us is having a strong, healthy, independent Mexico, free of the fucked up bullshit that is the cartels, and free of the government corruption that those guys have, and free of all of the economic problems they have. That when Mexico builds itself up, I don't know how we could even begin to help them out, but when Mexico builds itself up and becomes a strong, sovereign fucking country that doesn't get fucked by the cartels on a daily fucking basis, doesn't have all the problems they have, right? Then at that point, that the borders will fix themselves. That strong borders are a result of strong countries, not the other way around. That you just like say like, our border is gonna be really fucking enforced, and then all of a sudden, you know, like, everybody like, I think that's. Can you explain to me why America went into Iraq? Because we thought that Saddam Hussein helped Al-Qaeda and the Taliban on fucking 9/11. That's a lot of people in chat seem to disagree with me, but I know for a fact that when I was a kid, that's what America felt. America felt that Saddam Hussein was helping the Al-Qaeda people, and that Saddam Hussein was buddy-buddy with fucking Osama bin Laden. That's why we went to Iraq, to fuck him up. And then we also thought that they had weapons of mass destruction. I remember that being a very specific part of the public discourse when we were making that decision. Look at the countries that aren't taking immigrants in the EU. Is there any problems keeping immigrants out? From the United States? The problem is getting illegal immigrants into the United States has become like a multi-billion-dollar a year industry. Let's see if I can find this. Fuck, there was a really sick article on it one time. There was so much money being spent on getting illegally into the United States because of how fucked Mexico is. There was it might have been a Time article. I'm not gonna be able to find it. But like, the fact that so much money is spent on it makes me, I don't think that building a wall is gonna keep everybody out. Like, they'll find a different way in. Not to mention the infeasibility of all of that shit. Like, I don't know. Why do you think the U.S. went to war in 1991 with Iraq? I don't know as much about that time period. Wasn't that because Saddam Hussein engaged in biological warfare against the Kurdish people? Wasn't that the first Gulf War? I could be wrong. I don't know fuck all about that time period. I'm not gonna lie, dude. Oh yeah, the Kuwait people too. Yeah, the invasion of Kuwait was a big thing as well. Yeah.